y'all remember me from the last time, 911, what's your emergency? We talked about that back in November. So if any of y'all missed that, again, I'm Brother Shareef. I work in the school system as a counselor / mentor. I work with children that have supposed behavior and mental and emotional issues. I pull them out in group sessions, making sure they're on point. Of course, I'm a mentor here, and my passion is helping black boys and black families. That's my passion. So I don't want to keep you long today. I just want to hit on 3 important points like Brother Harold said. Education, family, and education, family, and the criminal justice system. 3 areas that affect all of us as black people one way or another. Even if it doesn't affect you directly, it affects you one way or another, because if you have a family member that's caught up in the criminal justice system one way or another, it's going to affect you, even if it isn't just mentally. It affects you. So, and let's give the sister a round of applause here who helped out, and Brother Harold. So these 3 pictures here, see the sister here giving him the hand. That's dealing with family and relationships, especially brothers. Since I'm addressing the brothers, we got to watch how we have to develop better ways on how to communicate with our sisters. We don't want you ending up in prison, and that activity there leads you there. But this last picture is where we want to be, rebuilding the family. Does anyone know who this family is right here in the bottom right-hand corner? No one don't know?
He's an actor, isn't he?
In the bottom right-hand corner here.
Yes. Isn't it the older man, is he an actor?
No. No. See, and this goes to show about what the sister was saying about know thyself. If this was a scandal or empire, it would be all over the news. This is a family here who just this weekend celebrated their 82nd year of marriage. He just turned 108, and this May she'll be 105. 82 years of marriage. And that's why the title of the lecture is Rebuilding the Black Family. Give them a round of applause. Mr. Villiard, Mr. and Mrs. Villiard in White Plains, New York, just this weekend celebrated 82 years of marriage. He turned 108 and she'll be 105. This is a recent picture. You can look it up. And that's what it's all about. Because when that family is together, everything else just falls in place. This is a good book to read that talks about the importance of family. It's called Slavery, the Psychic Trauma of the African American Family. And it talks about how Africa was strong because of the strong family structure that we had. It wasn't no such thing in Africa as you just running off and getting a divorce because she didn't do the dishes or he was looking at someone or whatever the dumb reasons that we get divorces over 6 months now. We had the family there to keep us together. And that's what we want to talk about. Strong family life. And we're going to talk about some touchy things, but I'm not perfect. So as I'm talking to you, I'm talking to myself because I'm not perfect. All right? 82 years of marriage. Now, the position where we're at now with the destruction of the black family, who's the head of the black family? The father. This has been a plan, an evil plan that they've had in place for us for years. Look at this. This is called the super predator myth. And tell me if it's true or not, or if this affects you one way or another. In the late 80s, Professor John Doolio of the Princeton University, he coined the phrase super predator, talking about you, stating that the public should be on high alert of a new breed of juvenile offenders from the inner cities and poor families that have no respect for human life and no sense of future. He further explained that these youth would be fatherless, godless, remorseless, jobless, drug dealing, gun toting gangsters that will rob, murder, rape, and ravage our streets, otherwise known as the super predators. He said, and other authors connected this behavior to mothers in inner cities addicted to crack, which popularized the term crack babies. So they were talking about this back in the 80s, and they call it, you can look it up, I didn't make this up, I've written papers on it in my undergrad in counseling. It's called the super predator myth. And he said you would be gangsters, remorseless, jobless, godless, all this less stuff. And at the Founders Day last week, I explained this super predator myth with my brother back here. But I'm gonna keep saying the same thing until we get it. So what do you do with a youth, with a people, whether it's male or female, that's godless, remorseless, jobless, gun-toting? What do you do with them?
Put them in jail.
Yeah, what do you do with it? And the sad thing is, some of us do belong in jail. Some of us are that out of control that we belong in jail. But is this real? Is this real for the vast majority of our youth? No. Only we can answer that. But the way we behave sometimes, it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder whenever I see a picture back in Pennsylvania where I'm from, and someone kills their classmate and then takes a picture, a selfie of the dead body and puts it on, what's it called, Snapchat or?
Snapchat.
Yeah, I'm old, I don't know this stuff. Y'all gotta help me out. Something is wrong. Is that not remorseless? Isn't that being a gun-toting gangster?
Yeah.
So, but this is called the super predator myth. And they've been talking about this since the 80s. This is what they think of you. Moving along. The criminal injustice system, America's desired destination for the black family. I want you to read this real close because it's very alarming. While blacks only account for 15% of the total population in the United States, that's all black people, and even that statistic is skewed because they're counting immigrants, meaning Haitians, Africans, Jamaicans. The African Americans, we're not even the 40 or 50 million that they're talking about. We're only about 17 or 20 million. They're counting immigrants. While we're only 15% of the total population, we account for 3 times the rate of the prison population as compared to the state which we live in. For example, we only make up 22% of the population in North Carolina, but we make up 56% of the prison population. So all blacks in the state of North Carolina, we're only 22%, but we're 56% of the prison population, 3 times the rate. In Pennsylvania, where I'm from, blacks only account for 10% of the general population, but 58% of the prison population. Y'all follow where I'm going? In Georgia, I know y'all like, oh man, it's popping in Georgia. No, that's only Atlanta. It's other cities in the state of Georgia other than Atlanta. Yeah, we got it going on in Atlanta, but you got Stone Mountain, Georgia, you got Savannah, Georgia. We only make up 30% of the total population in Georgia, but 68% of the prison population. In all states, follow me, we represent 3 times the prison population than the general population in which we live. Did I lose anybody with that? It's okay if I did. Did I lose you? So in North Carolina, all black people, we only make up 22% of the prison of the general population. That means blacks, whites, Latinos. We're only 22%. But if you go to the prison population, we make up 3 times as much of the population that we live in. So we're 22% of the general population here in North Carolina, but we're 56% of the prison population. In Pennsylvania, where I'm from, we're only 10% of the general population, but 58% of the prison population. How can you be 3 times more in a small prison than the whole general population of what you live in?
That's what you lost me.
That's every single state. If you go to Hawaii, if you go to Alaska, it's the same thing. We're only maybe 15% But if you go to the prison population, we're 50, 60 some percent of the prison population. So if those statistics are the same in all 50 states, it can only be one or two things. Either we're destined to fail, meaning we're born to fail, or it's a plan for us to fail. Which one is it? Because how can it be a blueprint for every single state? It's the same thing. If you go to California, if you go to Idaho, we're about maybe 3 or 4% of the population of Idaho, and if I had the statistics up there for that, we would be 3 times more in the prison population. So either we're destined to fail, or it's a plan for us to fail. I say it's B. It's a plan for us to fail. Picking up, blacks in North Carolina are 2 times more likely to be jailed for drug crimes. In Durham and surrounding counties, the ratio is nearly 9 to 1 compared to whites, meaning we get arrested 9 more times than whites for the same thing. But it's proven that whites use drugs more than black people because there's more of them than us. A recent report showed that black youth, meaning you, are 3 times as likely to be referred to JC, which is juvenile court, and 3 times as likely to be placed in juvenile detention centers as whites. You better pay attention, because if you mess up one time, that's your you know what. That's it. You don't get no second chance. You don't get no second chance. Now, how do we know? This is This is a list of George Zimmerman's arrest record showing we don't get the same leniency as others. This is why it's so important to stay out of trouble. I've been a counselor in many different juvenile detention centers. Brother Hal has been there, and ain't nothing but us there. When I was at Butner, it's called C.A. Dillon. Just in 2013, I was a counselor there. 103 students there, or boys there. 97 of them were black. 3 or 4 of them were Latino and 1 white. So 1 white was only referred there. How can that be? As if they commit no crimes. 97 of the 103 was you. You, just like it says there. You're 3 times as likely to be placed in juvenile detention centers. Well, what does George Zimmerman have to do with this? It's to show you don't get the same leniency as other people do. Look at his arrest record. In 2005, arrested for accused of resisting arrest. In August of 2005, his fiance filed a restraining order. 2012, we know what happened there. The man wants to be arrested. He wants to be arrested, and they won't arrest him. He wants to be arrested. You can stalk a child, kill a child, be a child stalker, and no arrest. He wants to be arrested, and they won't arrest him. I know what you're saying. Oh, well, that's been all over the media. Well, back in Pennsylvania, to show that we don't get the same leniency as others do, a cousin of mine, he's in, excuse my language, he's into, he went to school for what I call Becky and Amyology. Anyone know what that is? Any of y'all know what that degree is? Becky and Amyology? It's the study of exploiting and living off of white girls. That's what he does. What I call Becky and Amyology. So he's living off of this white girl, right? She works at a post office. She's taking care of him by stealing gift cards from the post office and then putting the apartment in his name and getting him a car. Somehow they found out what she was doing. The cops came there with the supervisor and said, give me your keys and your badge, you have to go. Didn't even handcuff her. Now the last time I checked, if you steal from a federal government office, that's a federal crime. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Didn't even handcuff her. Didn't even arrest her. Just said, turn over your keys, you need to leave. What if that was one of us? Do you think you would get that same leniency? Yeah,
Y'all got a question?
It would kill.
What's your question? Go ahead.
I think
It's okay.
you said something about if we get caught like one time, we don't pay second chance.
most of the time you don't.
Cause I would say, I don't believe that I second chances. It's not just that. It depends on It still messes up your record.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it messes up your record, but it depends on like who like catches you. Like if it's it depends.
Now, I ain't say all the time, but statistically, like I just showed you the statistics. These aren't my statistics. This comes from the CDC, the Center for Disease Control. And this is Durham. That's why I put Durham in there. 9 to 1. Blacks are 2 times more likely to be jailed for drug crimes and other crimes. And here in Durham, the ratio is 9 to 1.
Okay, now you have a question? Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
when you
I
were
want y'all.
talking, when you were talking about, I forgot what pregnant was, like a president or something.
Mm-hmm.
But when he was with the white girl, like when you said that they didn't even handcuff her,
Mm-hmm.
did you ever get to know what race the police officer was?
No, I didn't know that. All I know is that she didn't even get handcuffed. And it's hard for me to believe if the tables was turned. And that's a federal offense because she was stealing from the post office, which is a government office. They didn't even handcuff her, didn't arrest her. They just told her to leave. And she was stealing gift cards, then reselling the gift cards in the streets. And then giving him the money to front for his apartment and his car.
Okay.
That's a federal crime.
I have one question. I don't know how many of you ever went to the planning boards or planning commissions in the city. If you ever go down to the planning commission, planning boards, they plan 20 years out, and this is across the nation. And they go to the neighborhoods of least resistance. They go to the neighborhoods of least resistance to put the railroad tracks, to put the chemicals through, to do anything destructive to the communities. They come to the black community. And when he said it's systematically designed, everything is systematically designed for us. So y'all need to go and visit the planning
Now,
commissions.
let me, and I want to pick up on that. Now, you knowing that you have this information, right? And you knowing what the statistics are. And you're knowing in terms of what's going on in terms of the planning committee. So now, it's going to be up to you all to do what? What are some things that you see yourself that you can do in order to avoid and becoming a statistic? Because it's evident. It's right there. He presented it to you.
Go to college.
To what?
Go to college.
And that's why we're going to college, want to get an education, if not, at least improve it, knowing thyself that we talked about earlier, as well as going to college, military school, education is important. And he's going to talk a little bit about education. That's very good, very good. Education is going to be very important.
Good.
Because to avoid to becoming that statistic.
Good questions, and one quick, because we could go on that topic for forever, but one quick advice from me to you, young brothers, pay attention, is to watch who you associate yourself with. That's a good way to keep yourself out of criminal activity. And sisters too, because I'm gonna talk about the sisters. This ain't just about the brothers, sisters too. This is it's a fairy tale, but really it isn't. One time it was a man, listen to me now. One time it was a man who got lost in the wilderness, right? And he was out in the wilderness and he could not find his way back to safe land. He didn't know if someone was gonna come kill him or whatever. And he prayed out to God and said, "Oh God, send me someone or something to get me back to safe land. I just need help to get back to safe land because I'm scared." Right? Y'all follow me? So he prayed out to God and God sent him a butterfly. And the butterfly said, "I'm a peaceful creature. Just follow me and I will get you to safe land." And he said, "Nah, I ain't fooling up with you." So the butterfly kept on going. So he kept on walking. And then a deer came along. And then the deer said, "Look, I'm a peaceful creature. I can get you to safe land where you're safe and you can get back to civilization. Just follow me." He said, "Nah, I'm not fooling up with you." And then finally, a turtle came along. He said, "Look, I'm peaceful. Just follow me. I'll get you back to safe land if you follow me." He said, "No, I'm not fooling up with you." Kept on walking, and then a snake came along. And the snake said, "Just follow me." if you follow me, be down with me, I'll get you back to safe land. And the man said, you're not going to betray me, are you? He said, no, I'm not going to betray you. What makes you think that? So they kept on walking. Boom! The snake bit him. He said, why would you? He said, why would you do that? He said, you knew what I was when you picked me up. And that's the story with a lot of y'all. Y'all know who y'all are hanging out with, or you may not know. But if you don't know, that is your fault. Y'all follow me? You can't hang out with someone and you don't know who they are. Because whatever their problems and whatever their drama is, now it becomes your problem and your drama. And whatever they're doing, that's going to be on you. That's my best advice to you.
Y'all
Now,
understand that?
y'all got it?
Do you get it?
Yes, sir.
Y'all got it? Now, as far as education, we're moving into education now. The plot is set. Now, listen to me now. This ain't no, oh boy, it seems like he don't like white people. No, I'm just telling you what it is and what they got planned for you. This ain't no ancient stuff that I'm telling you. In May, follow me on this. You may not hear this anywhere else. In May of last year, they just said you, as black and Latino youth, have a new disease. A new disease, and you're out of control, and you're going to need some medicine to deal with it. Now, if I was to tell you this, you'd probably be like, oh, there he goes again. So I'm going to let them explain to you what this new disease that you have.
More than half of Latino students in California go to schools that are 90% minority. In other states, black students are seeing more segregation than they have in decades. And now, many kids in the inner city are suffering from something you would never expect. Wendy Good is here tonight with a new health and psychological problem that teachers have been seeing a lot. Wendy?
They have been. Even the Centers for Disease Control says that these kids often live in virtual war zones. And doctors at Harvard say they actually suffer from a more complex form of PTSD. Some call it hood disease. Unlike soldiers, children in the inner city never leave the combat zone. They often experience trauma repeatedly.
You could take anyone, right, who is experiencing the symptoms of PTSD, okay, and the things that we are currently emphasizing in school will fall off their radar. Because it frankly does not matter in our biology if we don't survive the walk home.
In Oakland, about 2/3 of the murders last year were actually centered in East Oakland. 59 people killed. These teachers and administrators know that problem firsthand. They graduated from Fremont High in East Oakland and have gone back there to work.
These cards that they're suddenly wearing around their neck that say rest in peace. You have some kids that are walking around with 6 of them, laminated cards that are tributes to their slain friends. It's depression, it's stress, it's withdrawals, it's denial. It's so many things that is encompassed and embodied in them, and once somebody pushed out one button where it could just be like, please go have a seat. And that could be the thing that just sets them off.
Last year, there were 47 recorded lockdowns in Oakland's public schools. Again, almost all in East and West Oakland.
And then the car came this way and they started shooting and driving.
These kids at Fremont High showed us where one classmate was shot.
If someone gets shot that they knew or they cared about, it's, as Marquis said, they're gonna be known. If someone else in their family gets shot and killed, they will be sad, they will be isolated, because I have been through that.
And gun violence is only one of the traumas or stressors that occurs in concentrated areas of deep poverty.
Kids are unsafe. They're not well fed. And when you start stacking those kinds of stressors on top of each other, that's where you get these kind of negative health outcomes that seriously disrupt school performance.
We'll have more on some of the
Now, y'all get that? This is a new disease that they came out with that says you suffer from, right? In case anyone didn't get it, It's a complex form of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. You have a psychologist right here that can explain it much better than I can. Even though I'm a counselor, he can explain it much better than I can. And it says that it disrupts your learning. That's what it says. And just like a war veteran, he's in a war and he may suffer from PTSD, but the difference between him and you is he gets to leave the war zone, but they say you never get to leave. So you're traumatized now. Now you have a new disease called hood disease. It isn't no acronym. It isn't something, no slang term. They're actually saying that you have this. You just saw it. That's why I showed you that. They said you have a disease now because of the areas you live in. You may not be being fed right, and it goes even deeper than that. So if they're saying that you have a disease, what do you think, going off of your experience and how America handles diseases, what do you think is going to come after that disease to treat that disease? Bingo. Say it again for me, brother.
Medicine.
Medicine. And you already know. You already experienced it. You may already be on it. I don't know. I don't believe anything is wrong with you. Brother Torrance already knows I spoke about this. I've been speaking about this for the last 3-4 years, about the over-medication of our boys and our girls. And now they're setting the stage. May of 2014, that's only 5-6 months ago, that Harvard said that you have this. So you can act up in school if you want. They got something for you. And we can go back to the slides before that. That's what they got for you. And this is the precursor to put you there.
I want to pick up a little bit on that too. If you remember our first guest speaker, Ms. Williams, she mentioned affirming the negative. Affirming the negative. You know, we're believing some things that are negative. We don't have to really believe this. This is where we need to start thinking about, yeah, we may be in some very difficult situation, but we can work and we can deal with those situations by getting involved in terms of some very good activities, being involved here, working with your associate mentor. Those are the kind of things that can really, really improve your attitude, get you involved in terms of helping you deal with some of the anger, because we all get angry. We all get depressed. We all experience some anxieties at times. But when we can really focus on some support within our communities and work with our brothers, we can work through those things that were mentioned earlier. We don't have to believe that. We can move beyond that. We have that support within our own communities. I just wanted to.
Yes, definitely. That's what I wanted to say. I'm not showing you these things to depress you. I'm showing you these things so in the future you can, hopefully you're not in these situations, but you can say, well, no one never told me this. How am I in this situation? No one ever told me this. Yes, you did. Yes, someone did. So you don't be in that situation, because like he said, I don't believe there's anything wrong with any of you. This is all made up to make you think this is your reality when it isn't. There's nothing wrong. Everyone in this room has the potential to be a doctor, lawyer, engineer, anything you want to be. But if you let someone shape and mold who you are, then that can become your reality. And you already see what they have planned for you. There's nothing wrong with you. It may be something wrong with our circumstances. And that's why we're here, to help us navigate through our circumstances. But it's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. And you're being told more and more that there is something wrong with you. And if you sit and believe it, it will become your reality. And that's what we don't want. Did I lose anyone? Are y'all all right?
Yes, sir.
And it isn't just the boys. Read this and then I'll be wrapping up. Now it's the girls, even worse. We keep on talking about the boys. We got the rites of passage for the boys, the Boy Scouts, and this and that, but no one is talking about the girls, and I'm glad that our queens are here so they can see this and attest to it. In a recent study at Columbia Law, it revealed since the 2010-2011 school year. Black girls are more at risk than boys when it pertains to suspensions and being expelled from school. This is from Columbia University, out of New York. In New York, black girls are 10 times more likely to be suspended from school than white girls. Black boys are 6 times more likely to be suspended than white boys. Black girls, look at this. This isn't no misprint. 53 times more likely to be expelled. I ain't say suspended. Expelled is when you're out, you're gone, not coming back, than white girls. In New York, 90% of all girls suspended were black, none were white. So right now, at this point, since 2010, black girls are in a worse condition in the school system than black boys. But all we talk about is black boys. And that's why I showed this statistic, because it's the black family. 53 times more likely to be expelled than black boys. This is sad and it's alarming, but it's a reality. This is their stuff, not mine. And this is part of the family structure that we have to address. And I work with these girls all the time. They stay in the suspension office. I work in the schools all around here. Something's wrong. And something needs to be done. But again, there's nothing wrong with you. It may be something wrong with our behavior in some of our circumstances, but ain't nothing wrong with you. Y'all all right? And the medication that the sister talked about, yeah, I'm finishing up. The medication that the sister talked about, this is what it does to you. I've been speaking on that. Ritalin and Adderall, look at all those things that that medication does to you. And how could you function with all that going on?